But you had people that held my position that said, it's not happening here. And as a chief now, over 10 years later, I'm sitting here and telling you, I've got it in my town. I know I do. And I think you would be a fool to anybody anywhere in the United States would, an administrator say we don't have that here is looking at something and being very foolish in their statement. Like 10 years ago, here especially, we were new and we had a hold on the domestic aspect as far as domestic violence, but we started rolling into the human trafficking. What we know now is human trafficking in this era that we're in. We were seeing it. We really didn't know what we were seeing. Things were happening that we were unaware of. But once we started studying and reaching out to other agencies, other departments that had been well involved in it a while, just like you recommended me that I contact Houston, Texas, and I did. And I was able to talk to them, and based off their knowledge, that's something they had been dealing with. You're talking 2000, they had been involved with it since the 80s. And we didn't have an idea. So it opened my eyes, it broadened my perspective, so I started understanding what I was seeing and what key things to look for. But then I think the biggest hurdle we saw at that time was the justice system. You had prosecutors, judges, other detectives, law enforcement administration that didn't understand what it was and didn't believe it was happening. And I would say here in this region, that was our biggest obstacle to overcome. You had high-ranking officials. At the time, I'm a chief now, I was not then, but you had people that held my position that said, it's not happening here. And as a chief now, over 10 years later, I'm sitting here and telling you, I've got it in my town. I know I do. And I think you would be a fool to anybody anywhere in the United States would, an administrator say we don't have that here is looking at something and being very foolish in their statement. And it makes them and their department look bad. This is a plague that is taking over this whole country, and it's very sad and it's very heartbreaking.
I was told in I think 2016, 17 that by administrators and other law enforcement that it didn't happen here, and at a young age in law enforcement, and you pick up on things on patrol, and I mean something's not right here. That don't seem right, and when it don't seem right, it's not right. It's just people they put their blinders on, and so when Chief Scott came here, I was glad for him to come here because that was my way in. The biggest thing that I grasped was listening to the stories. I spent countless hours talking to ladies here from the tower when it wasn't the tower. We didn't have that, but talking to them and learning from their experiences. And I tell them all the time that I'm by no means am I in your shoes, but I try to get as low as I can to the point so I can try to understand it. So for me, in 16, I knew it was happening here because it's Pearl, Mississippi. I mean, Interstate 20, we're the main corridor right here. So I was eager to learn, and I was grateful for him to show me the ropes and get started. I mean, the legislation helped a lot, to advance us. It kind of, I'm not saying our hands were tied, but it kind of let us, do better. I mean, help us to learn more and to show people that it's happening, and also it didn't tie us down, with not our jurisdiction, but I'm pretty sure jurisdictions everywhere. You see a juvenile or a female, and you hook her up, lock her up for prostitution, and just throw away the key. But that's what happened their whole life. That's what everybody did. So passing that law helped us, let everybody else see, not for us, but the people that were trying to, hey, listen to us. Now there's a law. You should have listened to us years ago. But we're here now, you know, and so I think it jumpstarted everybody, and I think it opened everybody's eyes, especially like we talked about in the earlier segment about, you know, judges and prosecutors and lawmakers and legislators, and and then of course the other bill, it helped us do better. You know, it gave us more resources, rapid responders, and health care and stuff that we needed on the ground. You know, more resources for us to help the victims.
You know, now we actually have tools for our tool belt. You know, young ladies under the age of 17 that were being arrested for prostitution, like I've said, had to tell a group of legislators, you know, a 13-year-old girl doesn't wake up and decide I'm going to be a prostitute today. Somebody's forcing her. It really changed, and it really started. Now, it was evolving, but it was a very slow evolve. It was, you know, it was at a snail's pace, but we were going forward and we weren't going backwards anymore. And it's been a long, hard fight. I know you've had many, many late nights writing legislation at the Capitol, fighting for legislation. And of course, the Speaker, he, you know, once we got him involved, you know, he kind of picked up the torch for you and saved you a lot of trips to the Capitol, which, you know, we're all very grateful for that. And he kind of made it a high priority for him, you know, which helped everybody out in the field as far as emergency responders, law enforcement, to the point where we were able to gain resources, you know, through the legislature, and gain resources through grant programs and through other state agencies that were not helping us at the time. What we have found in this area is we've got a great relationship with our juvenile judge. Of course, he controls the field responding child protective services through the juvenile court. So we're able to call the judge direct, and that's on, and he's helped with some legislation, I know, and he's very pro law enforcement. So, you know, we can speed up the program like we did yesterday. Called the 800 number, did what the protocol says, then we call the judge, and within 20 minutes we had CPS personnel on the ground in front of us. That if we'd have just done the 800 program, we'd still be waiting. Not that it wouldn't happen, but it would have been a 2-week process. And, you know, I personally, and I'm speaking for my investigator, too much can happen in 2 weeks. People can disappear in 2 weeks, especially if they know they've been found out. So kind of like your response team, a quick reaction response is what's expected now. And I don't think anything else should be less accepted than that. Give you an example, just like I refer back to the case yesterday. We got the information around noon. School let out at 2:30. By 2:30, we were serving a search warrant on the house, and we had warrants cut for both parents. But it was because of the knowledge that everybody's gained in being willing to listen and be taught and not shun the idea that it doesn't happen. You know, and I'll say this: 10 years ago, it would have been a lost cause. We would not have the ability to do what we did yesterday. So I'm very grateful and thankful for everybody.